Howdy everyone, and welcome to episode 12 of the Spy Squadron podcast. It's a very special episode.
It's a very special episode.
For two reasons.
One, we've hit 100 subscribers. Thank you
Yes!
so much to
Thank
everyone
you
who has
so
subscribed,
much.
everyone that watches, everyone that likes, everyone that comments. Honestly, we did not expect to get this much this quickly, and we are
pretty whack.
absolutely stoked.
We, honestly, from the bottom of our hearts, we made this and we were just going to be like, this is just going to be our fun little thing we do. But people are watching, the community's growing, we're growing, and we're like 100%, we're committed to pumping out that content, keeping the quality up, and we love this game. We love talking about this game so much.
And then onto why you're here, probably.
Because you saw the thumbnail and the name of the title.
FFG has reached out to us and given us a card to show you, the community.
How good.
We are humbled. We are extremely excited.
Oh my god, are we?
Thank you so much, FFG. Like, we're small creators.
Thank you so much,
In the grand
honestly.
scheme of things, we mean nothing, but...
Ow! The Spy Squadron means a lot to me.
It means a lot to me too. But we have our own spoiler card.
What is it, James?
It is...
Lethal Insurgents. Yeah, it is.
Bam!
There's a couple of... Look at it go! Firstly, the artwork on this card slaps. Who doesn't love someone with a bazooka? Now we've got someone with a bazooka. This card is... It's a 2-cost.
It is a cunning heroism card. We're absolutely so...
It's a 2-cost cunning heroism. What's that keyword, James? It's the best keyword in the game.
It's a rebel.
It's a rebel, baby.
It is a 3/2 with the same stat lines as
a Viper Probe Droid. Yeah,
which
so
is very, very good.
Heroes really been lacking on that, and I think that this card really is such a solid pick. It's when played ability. A few of you might be looking at that now and going, hold on, that doesn't seem too good. And I assure you that this ability on this card is actually pretty great. And I might be biased, I might not be biased, but so when played, if it is the second card, if you've played another card this phase, each opponent draws a card and then discards a card at random.
That is a very key point to this card, because otherwise it's kind of like, I'm letting my opponent just draw and discard.
Yeah, draw and discard.
But the discard a random card is the key thing here.
So when I play card games, I know that I'm sitting there and I'm looking at every card in my hand and I'm carefully planning everything with it. If someone just plays a 3/2 body, that makes me pick up a card and then I have to randomly discard a card from my hand. That could ruin my whole play. What if you've been saving up for... a 10-cost Star Destroyer. And someone drops this bad boy, and then you're forced to, put your hand out, and then what if it gets discarded? You're done.
Early game, you've energized, you've
resourced
the other one.
Now this one's gone.
You've discarded the second two of.
And keep in mind that this doesn't trigger as well, if you're wary of the ability, if it's the first play. This is an amazing turn 1 play. Viper Probe Droid's great. Most people run it and they don't even really care about the ability to look at your opponent's hand. This is our Viper Probe Droid. Yeah, exactly. This is our Viper Probe Droid for when I say our, Yellow Rebels, Yellow Green Layer. This card is awesome in that deck. It's a first turn play. It's such a strong first turn play.
Yeah, it's a strong first turn play, and then it's also a disruptive later game when you are trying to play multiple cards. You play Asteroid Sanctuary, tap one of the things, hit something shield, and then you play this and make them draw a card, discard a card at random, and it's...
Imagine the mind games, or just how nerve-wracking it's going to be when you're sitting there and you've got 2 cards left in your hand, your opponent goes, pay 2. Play this. Or you've got 1 card, and then you have to pick one up, and that 1 card you need could be takedown, and then you're just having to gamble on a 50-50, and it gets discarded. Then what are you going to do? You're now facing against a 3/2, and we know that, like, look at A-Wing, right? It's a 3/3, essentially. Such a good first turn play. Now we've got a really good trading body on the ground to be able to deal with that. And I I think this is such a good card. It might not be the craziest card in the world, but honestly, this is definitely going in yellow hero decks.
Yeah, it's really good to have a body that can just kind of, even if it's evenly trade into stuff like...
Yeah, for sure.
The Snow Trooper...
2/3 Snow Trooper, Shore Troopers. This can take down your early game Sentinels, like your cell block guards. This card trades into Sabine.
Yeah.
This card,
And Sabine can't take it out.
Exactly. This is a wing leader target.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. This card is like a wing leader target. You buff it up early to get to 5. If your opponent uses removal on it, But it's a 3/2 body that's going in. It's going hard. Honestly, turn 1 this, turn 2 Fleet Lieutenant.
Yeah, absolutely.
Getting in for 5.
I've seen a lot of decks that are villain going that
Viper Probe Droid
Probe
Lieutenant
into
Lieutenant.
So now Hero has that same play that's been working so well for those
yeah, for sure.
villain decks.
All in all, I love this card. I'm giving it a 5 out of 5 on the Spy Summoner. I'm biased. You rate it whatever you guys want.
Really cool card.
Yeah.
Check it out. Let us know what you think about it. And once again, thank you so much to everyone that was involved in getting this card to us and allowing us to show the community this card ourselves. Thank you so much.
One more thing. It's from one of the best planets. It's from Lothal. Do you know what takes place on Lothal? Rebels takes place on Lothal. Which we're, funnily enough, a little alluding to, if you've seen the second part of the title of this video, we'll be talking a bit about those in a minute. But we've got a couple of other cards to cover off. Unfortunately, we can't talk about Lothal Insurgents all day.
Oh, we would.
We would. Ready to go for a whole hour.
Oh, yeah.
Next up, we have so what month is it?
It is Aggression month.
It is Aggression month.
Oh, it's no longer Aggression month.
It's Cunning month now, but it was Aggression month. And the last card in our voting was an upgrade. I believe it's Saboteur's Skill.
Infiltrator's Skill.
Infiltrator's Skill, sorry. It gives Saboteur.
It absolutely does. It is a 1-cost neutral red upgrade that gives +1/+1 to attach target and gives target
Saboteur?
unit.
Saboteur. Let's talk about this. 1 for +1/+1s, pretty good. At a going rate, that's an experience counter from Tarkin. Giving it Saboteur. Chewy decks. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm getting in there now.
Yeah, absolutely. I added this to my Sabine deck that I've been running.
It did work.
And it does a lot of work.
Putting it on a Falcon and just being able to dodge a system patrol craft, it's pretty huge actually, especially now that this week as well, especially if you're against big villain decks, there's some big Space Sentinels now.
Yeah, so being able to get around that is huge, and there's going to be a lot of uses for this, especially as we get further into future sets and more Sentinel comes out, more stuff comes out.
Just having
this is going to be a card to kind of keep in mind for it is this very simple, very effective way to just be like, I'm dealing against shields, awesome, let's chuck this on like a unit. I'm dealing with Sentinels, awesome, let's chuck this one on a unit.
You're playing a Sabine deck, right?
I'm imagining it, I'm there.
You flip your leader out.
Yeah, she's out.
And you go, okay, they don't have a takedown or a force choke this turn.
Excellent.
So I'm going to pay 1.
Or they've just tapped out before you do it.
Yeah, so let's say they played a card. You get your Sabine out, you've got your resources ready, put that on it. Sabine is at 6 health now, and Saboteur dodges Sentinels, can't be targeted by takedown. Open fire reduces her to 2 health. Force choke doesn't insta kill her anymore.
Nope.
That's huge.
Taking a card out of 2 of the probably most prominent removal sources
especially
in the game right now,
I would dare say probably even once this game is released, looking back on this video, I mean, the devs themselves have said takedown is relevant set 1 removal. So
getting any card to 6 health is a huge bump. It's not just
getting it out of those break
it's
points.
Got 1 more health. It's so much more than that.
It's completely removing. Essentially, if someone saved a takedown, someone's like, okay, you punish them for being greedy. All right, just I could save the takedown here. I could get the Sabine, but this turn I'm going to build my board and kill Sabine next turn. Yeah. Well, you've been too greedy. Now Sabine's a 3/6 with Saboteur, so that cell block guard, that Emperor's, Royal Guard, those pretty much everyone, all of this going at your face. You're getting hit. There's nothing you can do about it. Yeah. Don't discount this. This is a good card if you want to run a red upgrade synergy deck. This is a great card for sideboards when we get it competitively. If a Sentinel deck is big in the meta, this is going to be it.
Yeah, I've absolutely seen people talking about Voltron Chewie.
Oh yes, load the big man up.
Yeah, just loading him up with upgrades so he's just massive. And one of the big things was just, if I'm just going to play a Sentinel, and yeah, he does 12 damage on a swing, but I've put a Cellblock Guard in his way. Well, now you have this upgrade on him, and he doesn't care. He's swinging. You're dealing,
you're hitting hard, and you're hitting Chewbacca. Good card. Honestly, I like to see this. I love the upgrades. I like the way they're heading. I do want more guns.
More guns, yes.
I like what they're doing. Absolutely. Speaking of liking what they're doing, I want to cover off the leader spoiler last. There's a leader spoiler, just because I think it's really interesting. It leads into what we're talking about today. Yeah. We have one other red neutral card. I believe is that Ardent
Sympathizer.
Ardent Sympathizer. It's a 3/3 for 3.
Neutral red again.
With if you have the initiative, this unit gets +2/+0.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of neutral red's version of Shore Trooper.
Yeah, it also is a trooper.
It is also a trooper.
So it can be buffed by etages. I think this card's interesting. I think it's pretty good, but I think Shore Trooper. I think Shore Trooper has the leg up on it for a number of reasons. Shore Trooper's cheaper, and you're guaranteed the 6 resources. But I do think that dropping an early game, especially if you're in a real quick deck like Sabine, dropping an early game 5/3, because that's what it really is a lot of the time, it's pretty good. It's pretty sweet.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this is one of those cases, we've talked about it before, when the
Consortium Star Viper came out.
Consortium Star Viper and the neutral red ship that draws 2. I can't remember what it's called.
The Starwing Scout.
Starwing Scout, that's it.
Yeah.
Came out of... This is one of those things that can put your opponent in a position where they do claim early, where they feel like they have to claim early so you don't get that buff next turn.
Yeah,
and
or
maybe
even that
miss
turn.
out on a swing, or
Yeah.
miss out on...
Because you could be sitting there, your Ardent Sympathizers could be untapped, and you could be ready to swing 5, they could claim. That's now a 3/3. But you might have forced them to claim early. Mm-hmm. I actually think this card's I rate this card pretty hard in draft.
Yes.
I think in draft...
Anything that cheap with that high, that can put out that much damage.
If you're going to be building an aggro deck in draft, look out for this card. Because you just want to be going quickly, and pretty good card to get to go quick.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially if you...
Tap 3, play and claim.
Especially if you draft Tarsians. He's just going to get buffed. So all in all, Trooper's a really relevant keyword, and I think it does bump this card up a little bit, but it's one of those things where conditionally, it's interesting to look at. And the reason I think Shore Trooper has that leg up is because it's one cheaper, and you're always guaranteed the buff for 6 resources. You're not always guaranteed this one, but both of them work interestingly, and both of them can affect really interesting plays. Speaking of really interesting plays...
Yeah, very interesting. We've got another legendary reveal. This time it is
it's our green villain legendary.
Finally, the command villain legendary.
Pretty sweet.
It is big old ship.
Big old ships. We love it's Devastator.
Devastator.
Which is prior. So I think prior to the Battle of Hoth. Or just a little bit before that, this was Vader's flagship. During Scarif, it was Vader's flagship. When he captured the Tantive 4, it was Vader's flagship. So, pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. It is a 10 cost.
But it's a 10-10.
10-10.
So it's really making, those riches worth it.
Yeah.
Making those monies go.
It is Sentinel.
Yeah.
It is Overwhelm.
Okay. And that's it, right? Because it surely can't do more.
On play.
Yep.
You can deal damage to a unit equal to the amount of resources you control, which will be at minimum
10.
Well,
True, if you galactic ambition this card and take a 30 of life. I've seen people say that. Don't do that. Man, realistically though, coming in at 10, not a card in the game yet that can survive that. Even this card gets hit by itself.
Yeah.
You pay 10, play this. They pay 10, and they play their Devastator, and you know what you feel? You feel devastated.
Yeah, I think this is a game-winning play that has an exhaust point.
It does.
One of those cards that it is a card that can come down and just win games.
For sure.
Neutralize that
a lot of the
space
time,
area.
there's nothing you can do about that. It's going to kill your cards, make you take damage. You can't get in. Like, I think this really does work against red-green space race.
Oh, absolutely. Anything red-green, this is huge against.
Yeah.
Blue and yellow do have some outs. They have Vanquish and they have Waylay, which can be really harsh on this card.
Vanquish, by far the harshest. This card is amazing. Let's not downplay that. I like this card.
Oh,
I think it's pretty sweet. It makes for a nice top-end card, and it makes for a great follow-up play to Relentless. It might not always be played, but it's super fun and it's super thematic.
And this is a card that if I open it in a pack and draft, you know
you're going to slam the Devastator for sure. But I do think that this card, don't get greedy with it, because if you're playing against blue, you really got to consider that Vanquish. A lot of decks, like Mono Tarkin, we've been talking about it with our local guys as well, throwing up some decks and things like that, just had a chat about it today. You're going to be, Mono Tarkin's all right with this because you want to play those threats before. You're definitely going to be hitting Relentless, you're definitely going to be hitting ATST, so hopefully you can wear it out, but chances are your opponent will probably save a Vanquish for this, and it's not going to feel too good if they do.
Yeah, it's one of those cases of, as well, yes, you're paying 10, but if you're versing a deck like,
That's next.
Leia, that wants to really go wide, killing off one unit with 10 damage cannot feel great, and then you have to wait till next turn for the swing. So
it does also depend on the unit. And I mean, if you're facing up, they've got a home one, it feels pretty good.
Oh, absolutely. It feels really good.
It feels pretty good if you hit a leader with it, stuff like that. So I think this card, it's definitely your whole turn. For sure, it's your whole turn. If you can ramp out to get there earlier, sweet.
Yeah, it might be a thing to finally get rid of that Vader that they've been...
Yeah, true.
Getting on turn 7, maybe if
you ramp out and you get a Devastator and you just punish. But I think Vanquish is definitely a card to look out for. Waylay's not so bad. Waylay is one of those cards where if they waylay you, it's probably going to feel pretty rough because you've just used your whole turn doing it. You did take out a unit, so it's not so bad. It's like if waylaying a Dooku. But if you've gotten greedy, I think my biggest point with this card is it is good. It's going to be good when you play it, but don't be greedy. Don't be fooled. Yeah. Do not choke on your aspirations, director.
You can't just slam it as soon as you hit 10 without worrying about anything. You need to make sure you have a board state that is... going to support this card. Yeah, exactly.
Hopefully we see some interesting support. I know we've definitely not seen all the green cards, so maybe a bit more ramp. We could maybe see some villains that, help make cards like Star Destroyers cheaper, make your capital ship theme decks a dream. But I think it's important to not be greedy. And I think this is probably... We've not had a chance to talk about that with a lot of other cards because games kind of curved out in a way where the cards have felt pretty natural. And this is our first card where huge risk, huge reward, depending on your matchups. If you're in a green-red deck, slam it. In most cases, you're probably just going to destroy them. If you're in a... blue matchup though, risk and reward versus Vanquish. If you're in a yellow matchup, if they built up a board and you slam this and they waylay it and kill you on the crackback, that's going to be pretty rough. Because a lot of the time, your option is play this and it gets bounced, and you're either going to swing a couple of times and claim, and depending on how rough your game's been, you're probably just going to claim. So I think this is a cool card. I definitely think this slots into Mono Tarkin. I think it's a great win con. maybe even a win more card. But don't be greedy is my lesson with this card. I think you really want to plan it out, and you definitely want to make sure that this is your go hard card. Like, don't feel bad about holding this for a couple of turns past 10 if you need to.
Just be careful holding on to it, because someone might chuck some Lothal Insurgents down.
Then you discard it. It's true. God, what a good card. It's you've heard it here first. Lothal Insurgents beats Star Destroyers. It just does.
It beats every card in the game.
True. Nice takedown. It'd be a shame if it was in your discard pile. We love our card. All in all, pretty cool. Infiltrator skill. I forgot to do this. I'm gonna remember. I promise. Don't shake your head at me. Infiltrator skill. I think it's pretty all round. I actually rate this card a little bit higher personally. I think it's a 4 out of 5. Ardent sympathizer. I don't know why I keep thinking imperialist. It's not.
Imperialist.
He's a Soliston. He's one of the little pancake people. They look like pancakes stacked on. I would give Ardent Sympathizer, I'd probably like a 2.5. I think it's fine. I think it's remarkable. I think it's okay. And I think if you draw it in draft, jam it. Devastator. Ooh, baby. I like this card. Big risk, big reward. I will give it a 3.5 because I feel like until we get more support for it, the risk versus reward factor, just for me personally, a little bit more risky than I'd like it to be. Speaking of Lothal, best series in the world, best Star Wars media in the world. Wouldn't it be awesome if we got another Rebels leader? Wouldn't it be like, what if it was the best color in Star Wars Unlimited Command? And what if it was Hera Syndulla? Yeah, baby! Look at that. Ooh, I love me some Rebels. So Hera Syndulla,
Very cool.
She's our rare command hero leader. Gotta say, I love both of these ladies. Both of these leaders are awesome. Both of them make me really happy. I love Leia from a competitive angle. I really like where Hera could go. So, you'll notice that Hera is our first leader that doesn't really do anything. At least, like, Krennic, I guess Krennic is also on that level where they have to have an interesting prerequisite for you to build your deck around, which is exactly what they said rare leaders were going to be. I love that. Your Spectres you control, you don't pay the aspect cost for them.
So
that's
that
so
kind of
cool.
means, just in case you're a little bit lost on what like kind of that's
what that means, yeah.
Is say you're playing Hera with
yellow. You're playing Hera with Cloud's Administrator's Tower, Cloud City.
Yep. And so what that means is if you have a Sabine Wren in your deck and you play that Sabine Wren, you'll not pay the extra 2 cost for not having that aggression.
Because she's a Spectre.
Aspect.
Yeah.
Because she is a Spectre.
So you can play your Kanans in this deck.
Mm-hmm.
You can play your Ezras if you're running mono green. Honestly, I can't say for certain because I don't know, and I really wish I did know. But fingers crossed, I'm pretty sure we're probably going to see Zeb, Chopper, and hopefully Ghost in this first set. I mean, fingers crossed we at least see them.
Got this leader. It's we can assume that there's going to be at least the rest of the Ghost crew.
I mean, like I'd love it, and it's definitely my assumption, and it's definitely on my wish list, and we're going to talk about it a little bit later in this video. But I definitely want to see the rest of the Ghost crew because I love what they're doing so far. Hera deploys on 6 as well. She's a 4/6. It's a great body.
Absolutely.
And she has the same text on her backside,
passive ability,
but she has a new piece of text. When she attacks, you get to put an experience counter on another unique unit you control.
Yeah, a lot of that's going to be there are the Spectres
Yeah.
that you have out. That's kind of usually the idea
Yeah.
of it. They probably don't want to just put an experience
On a
counter
Spectre.
because there are other.
But there is a lot of other units that it works with.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of unique units in this game.
C-3PO, R2-D2. If you're running the yellow package, Leia, Han Solo, Chewbacca. It really honestly depends. World's your oyster with running this, and I like that this deck, on the flip side of it, if you wanted to, you could build just a whoops all unique deck and just jam Spectres in there because they're good, right? Like, if you're going to run an all unique deck, you're probably going to run Sabines, you're probably going to run Ezras. At least this way, maybe you could build, red-green, get your Mace Windows in there and things like that. Or even blue-green, and then you can run Sabines and Ezras without having to worry. Yeah. I mean, how good would it be to be running a blue-green deck, play an Ezra, swing with him, and flip a Mace Windu... flip a Obi-Wan off the top. Like, that's pretty sweet.
Ezra is a fantastic card.
He's so
being
good.
able to put Ezra
in any deck, like in any color combination you want, and you just get to run Ezra.
I'm going to play Hera, so here are my Ezras. And
Ooh.
what colors will I play?
and like Ezra's and Sabine. Sabine's such a good early turn play. Like for me, I'm definitely looking at building this deck yellow-green. I've seen a lot of people testing yellow-green. I just think right now it's the strongest color combination. I want to wait until we get a few more Spectres, but for sure, jamming Ezra, jamming Sabine, jamming the Thol Insurgent, jamming Kanan, jamming, Zeb, just jamming them.
Indeed.
I like this. I like this a lot. And one thing I like about this is what we're talking about today.
Firstly, I'm going to point out one thing that I pointed out to Reese when it first came out, that I'm personally hoping for is the fact that Hera does not say
unit. Spectre cards.
Spectre cards.
And we know that events have the type, like maximum firepower's Imperial.
There's Gambits. Is Imperial, so you can search it with Moth.
Yep.
So the assumption from me is there may be
a
Spectre event card as well.
Which would be so sweet. Which would be so good.
Penalty to it.
That would be awesome. I wonder what it could do, because if we look at it this way, right, it's probably not green.
No, hopefully. Well, yeah.
Because Hera's green, her text probably wouldn't.
It'd be interesting if there were no other green.
That would be interesting. I think we might.
The Ghost and Zeb and everything were in.
I think we might see another Hera unit, maybe. Yeah. I feel like I'm pretty confident in saying we're at least going to get a Zeb Chopper, maybe a Ghost. Seeing a Hera unit is probably a little bit more on, like, seeing a Hera unit, seeing a Spectre card is probably, on my list of things that I wish would happen, maybe will happen.
Yeah, but like, it's by far not a
confirmation, unfortunately. I really want all the Rebel cards.
But at the least it is future-proofing. So
yeah,
set 2,
more
set 3,
Spectre
set 7,
support.
Set 9.
Give us
they could just bring out a Spectre event that then slots into that deck.
Give us a whole set. Make a whole set around Rebels. You could and you will, please. Don't be cowards. Make that set. But in all seriousness.
Set 32.
Set 32. It's just called Spectre set. Set Spectre. In all seriousness, though, I really like this leader. I'm very excited to build it. I don't know how competitively viable it's going to be yet, because it really depends on what the rest of the Spectre crew is like. But if they follow suit with Ezra and Sabine, wow, boy howdy, it might be a pretty good deck.
It might be a pretty good deck.
But yes, as I was saying earlier, this episode, we're going to be talking about types and themes in this.
So obviously no stream tonight.
Oh, this week.
This week.
Yep.
So as always, we kind of come up with something to talk about. We've decided to talk about kind of the archetypes of Star Wars Unlimited. So what that means is the kind of, if you look at say the previous gameplay video that we did, not the one this week, the one last week, it'll say
Tarkin Troopers,
and that's kind of a Tarkin deck that is based around that
running trooper unit,
keyword, right?
So as many cards as I could were running troopers. Taj was in the deck because he synergized with troopers. Essentially, archetypal play is based on your card has a type, for instance, Rebel, Spectre, like we just talked about with Hera, Imperial Trooper, and your deck runs cards that synergize and mention, in most cases, specifically that typing.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, your whole deck is not going to consist of
them,
but the kind of core of your deck is going to be based around that kind of synergy. And immediately look at cards like the Donna, you could look at cards like Veers. Yeah. These are the anthems of the
current Rebel and Imperials, yeah.
And obviously, the big two are that Rebel and Imperial.
Yeah, for sure. There's a couple of other subcategories that we're going to cover off. I think we've each picked about 2 each to talk about, and then there's one joint one that we're going to talk about just because we kind of we played it last week in the gameplay. It's Trooper, and there's like a little bit on both sides that we kind of want to unpack there. But we talked a bit about them. I think we might just continue on talking about it. Spectres.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, interesting. Spectres synergies appear to be this set.
Yeah, absolutely. And with the Hera Leader coming out, it is like confirmed kind of that this is a thing.
This is a thing that is going to be built around. Yeah. So it's going to be really interesting to see what we get, what more we get. Because Hera's a rebel as well. So and all of the Spectres we've seen so far, I realistically can't see us. Like, I can't see them, maybe Chopper, but I can't see the rest of them not being rebels. Chopper's just war criminal Spectre. But I can't see the rest of them not, fitting that niche. So, firstly, the big thing that sticks out to me with the Spectre archetype is they care about colors.
Yeah, absolutely. So you see that primarily in the Kanan and the Sabine. So the Sabine says when you have 3 or more
different aspects, she can't be attacked.
Kanan says
when
you attack, mill a number of cards
equal to the aspects on Spectres you can draw. Yeah. Love it. Firstly, it makes sense. They're a found family. They grew together. They're also varied, so different people. It's one of the reasons I love Rebels is I think everyone can find a niche no matter where you're from, no matter what background you have. Everyone can relate to one of the characters. And I love that that's reflected in the card game. And I also love the freedom that it gives access to with the Hera Leader.
Yeah, and I think it's really key for the kind of thematics of the game as well. Like, if you're running Hera Leader, you want to run
all the Spectres. You want to run the crew. She's the mum of the crew.
They're from, as you said, from different backgrounds. You don't want them all to be
No,
green.
you don't. And it wouldn't make sense for them all to be green. Ezra's cunning, and he's like a little street rat, so he's yellow. Sabine is a Mandalorian. She's an explosives expert. She's passionate. She's aggressive, so she's aggression. Kanan fits under that vigilance. He's a Force user. He's the best character in Star Wars. So, and then I'm sure we'll probably see something like maybe Zeb might fall under command or aggression. Chopper's aggression villain. He's awful. I love Chopper so much, but man, is he questionable. But it's really interesting. We also wanted to talk a little bit about what the kind of archetypes do. I think we've kind of covered off Spectres for now.
Yeah, kind of what we want to see from in the future. Yeah. We kind of talked about how we want to see that event.
Yeah, I want to see an event. I think it would be nice to see a searcher. Like, I hope Chopper lets us search, or maybe even the event lets us search. I want to see the ghost and things like that. So I think we've kind of covered off Spectres pretty well.
I would love an event that was essentially
recruit.
Not even recruit, like prepare for takeoff.
Get two Spectres.
Top 7,
get two Spectres.
That
would be awesome. That would be brilliant. Like, genuinely, that would be so brilliant. I was like, man, can you imagine your turn 1 play could be that you get your Ezra, your turn 2 play could be Ezra. Or your turn 1 play could be Sabine, and late game you just get to refill your hand with Spectres. Someone kills them, well, they're back. Like, all that kind of stuff. Oh man, don't even get me started. I want to see like a searcher. It'd be interesting to see an Anthem, but they kind of already have one in Dodonna, so it's not really necessary. Dodonna fits really well into the deck because he's a 4-cost play. He goes in curve, you can play him or Kanan, so it's pretty good. He buffs all of them because right now they're all rebels. I literally can't see them not being rebels, so yeah, awesome stuff. One archetype I think is really interesting that we both want to see more expansion from. It's a yellow archetype predominantly.
It'll be the Underworld.
Underworld or Bounty Hunter.
Yeah, Underworld Bounty Hunter kind of.
Slash.
We've seen Underworld in the heroes and villains. We've seen Bounty Hunter
and the villains. Yeah.
Yeah, predominantly a cunning thing, and the assumption is that the rare cunning leader is probably going to be Jabba. But there are some talks that Jabba's going to be next set. And,
we've seen art.
Don't know for sure yet.
We've seen the art for Jabba, but art doesn't determine if it's a leader or not. So we very well could be that Jabba the Hutt is a unit this set, and maybe we get a Jabba leader later. But ideally, we'd like to see Jabba, because I think it'd be cool to see a leader that synergizes with Underworld or Bounty Hunters.
Yeah, currently we just have Bosk and
Boba
for the Bounty Hunters. I think IG-88 is also a
yes,
Bounty Hunter.
and the leader Boba, unit Boba.
Yeah.
They're all Bounty Hunters.
So it would be really cool to start to see that kind of come together in the synergy of what they're... Obviously, it's the archetype we probably know the least about at the moment.
It's one that's really exciting.
Yeah, but obviously Boba is huge at the moment and is quite powerful at the moment. So the more synergy we kind of get around that Boba unit and leader, and Bosk as well is such an incredible card, that the more we learn about that and the more synergies that they start to put around that, the cooler that's going to become and the better that's going to be.
Interesting as well, they're all Underworld too. So Bounty Hunter might show up later, and Underworld might be the focus of the set. Cantina Braggart's an Underworld card, things like, Chewie's an Underworld card.
Yeah, sure, we're going to see like Bib Fortuna.
Yeah, we've seen the art for Bib, and we've seen the art for Greedo as well.
Yeah, so those are both going to be also Underworld cards, so I'd love to see those all kind of synergize together.
It'd be awesome. I think, what are some things that you want to see from Underworld or Bounty Hunter? Because we've got some awesome effects. Like Underworld surprisingly has interesting, or Bounty Hunter so far have interesting effects where if you do this, you get to deal damage. Like Boba Fett Disintegrator. On attack, he pings a unit if it's exhausted and didn't enter this turn. Bosk, honestly one of the coolest, one of the best cards.
Yeah, absolutely.
Play an event, ping for damage.
I'd like to see some more sneaky stuff. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
See something like the Bib Fortunas and the Greedos are huge on the they're so dangerous, and it's more. So I'd like to see like Bib Fortuna especially be like a lower, but like with a really interesting ability that maybe synergizes.
Something like a gambling ability where it's something like, I get you could maybe play Bib Fortuna, and when he's played, you pick two of your opponent's units and they pick one and destroy the other. Something like that. I think it'd be cool to kind of see Underworld maybe hit like a bit of that kind of gambly effect where you give your opponent a choice, but either way it's bad. Like, you could be like, hey, destroy one or the other.
There's got to be one card that makes you roll a dice.
Please no.
There's just going to be one card. I need one card. I need that throwback to Destiny.
Yeah, it's Sabak. We're gonna get like a chance cube card.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see what Greedo does. I wonder if Greedo will deal damage after your opponent's card. But no, genuinely, I am very I think Bounty Hunter's interesting because there's a lot they can do with it, and this week that'll be posted. This is the week you watching it now. Cunning stream is happening later this week, so get excited. It's Cunning month. I know I'm excited. I like Command and Cunning are the colors that I've been looking forward to the most. I love playing those colors. Really, pretty much every deck I've built is those colors.
Really interested to see what Mono Cunning has.
Ooh, I'm so excited.
I feel like Mono Cunning is going to synergize all around Underworld. All around that
Mono Cunning Boba could look really good. It's just very exciting. And one thing that makes it exciting is those archetypes, because they really tie things together, right? Like, Cunning would be so exciting, but Cunning's more exciting because we want to see what all of the utility cards do, but then we also want to see what the bounty hunters do, and we want to see what the Underworld does, and we want to see how they work with those utility cards. I, for one, hope we get a card that lets you search for events in Cunning, because I think that would be really sweet.
There's a lot of really good neutral events in Cunning as well, so that's a really...
And they all have types. They've tricks, gambits, like we've all seen those so far.
I would love to see some more synergies around that.
That would be brilliant. So I think that kind of covers off our chat around the Underworld side of things. Did we want to chat about Troopers now before we tackle probably the two biggest?
Yeah, absolutely. Troopers is a deck that kind of came around when that Shore Trooper Taj drop
popped up last week.
And suddenly you kind of look and it's like, oh, that's Trooper, and that's Trooper, and that's Trooper, and Callus is a Trooper.
Callus is a Trooper.
So it was really cool to see that happen, and that was immediately that Tarkin.
And that was 2 cards. 2 cards essentially made an archetype.
And I think could be really interesting going forward, like that these smaller archetypes can have such a big deal. Like
for sure.
Realistically, we only have 1 card that interacts with troopers.
Yes.
But because a lot is played in like Tarkin, a lot of the troopers are Imperials, so they also fall into that.
They benefit from that flex, like Spectres or Rebels and things like that.
So those kind of smaller archetypes like Underworld and Spectre and Trooper have those kind of smaller...
Yeah, like Underworld could be the grander keyword with Bounty Hunter just being there.
Yeah, that is
which is awesome. And like Taj is such a good effect because all of the troopers, they might not say, hey, all your troopers do this and that, but all your troopers are already good. That Taj is good, and building a deck out of cards that run troopers and being able to buff 3 troopers at once with Taj is great. And the good thing about interesting keywords like this is, man, I really like Taj, James. And then suddenly a legendary Stormtrooper Captain, Sandtrooper Captain or something like that comes out. You know, like a Dewback riding guy. That's on my wish list. I love Dewbacks. I want to see that guy. But he comes out. He's suddenly legendary. He's got a really powerful effect. Has nothing to do with troopers, but he is one.
Yeah.
And suddenly you can just put it in your deck. Put it in your trooper deck. He's going to work.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's one of the key things you talked... was it last week? No, it was either last week or the week before we talked about...
So many episodes. So many episodes.
And this fits into that a lot. A lot of the time what you're looking for is those synergies. And those synergies come with those kind of archetypes and those traits.
Yeah, for sure.
And being able to say, do I want Taj in my deck? And looking at your deck and being like, oh, actually, I'm not actually running very many troopers. And like, maybe 1 or 2, but they're not at all the key to my deck. So Taj isn't really adding anything. He's a fantastic card.
Oh, he's fantastic. But if you're not, if you've got troopers, but your deck's more leaning towards Imperial, it's probably going to be better to run Vias over Taj. I think personally, if you were to ask me what kind of trooper I'd like to see, I personally would like to see something that's like, on attack, you get to draw a card if you have another trooper, something like that. How about you? Anything in particular?
With troopers, I'd like to see... interesting. I think I'd just like to see something else, another card that brings troopers together, whether it's another official or something. But yeah, I think what you're saying is good. Maybe like you can have in command, maybe steal a little bit from the heroes and have when you attack with this trooper, you can attack with another one.
That'd be cool. Yeah, like a field commander is like, he's not a trooper, but he's like, when he attacks, you get to attack with another trooper. He's like an official.
Yeah.
I think we've got tokens in this game, and we've got like physical card tokens. I personally don't think it's pretty outlandish to think that in the future we could see unit tokens. I would love to see.
I know there's like iffy on it's like, oh, it's just magic, like with tokens, but I would love to see unit tokens.
Yeah, I think it'd be great. I think it'd be cool.
Happen now.
Battle droids.
My personal theory is all we're going to see is set 30
Roger.
droid tokens.
Then we can really get the party crasher in there. Mace
Windu
living out his artwork.
So many.
General Mace Windu, and at this point in the Clone Wars, he has dismantled over 100,000 of your Type B1 battle droids. Troopers is cool. It's one of the easier archetypes for us to point to and just say, this is what you can look towards with cards like Taj. If a card like Taj comes out, for Rebels and stuff like that, or for Spectres, or for Underworld or Bounty Hunters, it's kind of the cards we're talking about. Like, not ones that, when you play them, it's like, play all of your Spectres, but ones that are like, this is neat, and ties an interesting keyword into an archetype. Two biggest archetypes in the game.
Yeah, we can talk about them together because a lot of them have very
Similar
things
effects,
going towards them. So
Rebels and Imperials
both have one leader that completely synergizes with them in Leia and
Tarkin.
Tarkin.
Both command.
Well, that makes
sense. It makes sense.
As like command being the one that kind of has that kind of anthem effect. They're the leaders of
exactly
masses kind of thing. Both of them have kind of in that hero and villain. We've seen the kind of Dodonna Veers, Lieutenant.
Yeah. Wing leader, TIE Advanced. Yeah. So we really see a lot of parallels. Firstly, it's Star Wars. You can't not have the Rebels, and you can't not have the Imperials. You'd be crazy.
And they've done a really good job of making those two things seem unique and seem you're
feel
running
individual.
Rebels and you're running Imperials.
Yeah, having some interesting, just like another talking point. A lot of the Rebel cards, they feel scrappy. They feel.
I was just about to say that exact same thing.
They feel like they're they're out there.
And even Leia
Leia feels scrappy. She's
whereas Tarkin feels
like put together. He's like I'm buffing up this unit to do this and this, and Leia's like we're gonna get in there, so we're gonna take what victories we can get and strike at the Empire.
Yeah.
A lot of the Rebel cards, just some guys hanging out, fighters for freedom. Vigilant Honor Guards, Consular Security Force, they're just some guys. And I live by that. As a Rebel fanatic in this game. Man, and you know what else is a great Rebel unit? Lethal Insurgents. So good, you gotta come back to it. But genuinely, is a Rebel, is a good first turn play. We've seen a lot of strong cards, and another good point to lead on to that. Keywords are so good because you can have a strong card and it gets better.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like Destroyer is a sweet card. Or Devastator is a sweet card. It's an Imperial. It can be buffed by Tarkin. You can use maximum firepower with it. All of the Spectres are Rebels. They get buffed by Dodonna. You can include them in Leia and swing with her. Just simply giving a keyword to a card and giving it an identity to fit in with groups of cards like it makes it inherently better.
It's one thing to look at a card and be like, oh, it's a 2-cost 2/2 with a good ability. That's quite good. Let's put it in my deck. And there's another thing that the trait is actually important to how that card is used and how that card synergizes with other cards. And so it's very easy to discount that trait box when you're looking at a card and deciding whether it's good or not.
I know we've talked about it a lot, and I know I just mentioned it. Let's talk about Lethal Insurgents. It is a 2-cost 3/2. That's good. That's fine. That'd be fine. But it's a Rebel, James. This card can be used to swing with Leia. This card gets buffed by Dodonna. This card gets buffed by wing leaders. This card can swing and get buffed by fleet lieutenants. That 2-cost 3/2 would have been good. That 2-cost 3/2 Rebel is great.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you look at the Viper Pro Droid, and one of the reasons why it's so used is because you can do so much with it.
You can swing with a Snowtrooper Lieutenant.
Yeah, falls into that same category.
It's amazing.
Just having so many different things that can synergize with it, which just pushes it up and elevates it to like a card that is better than what it first appears to be if you're just looking at stats and you're just looking at ability.
And I mean, in archetype support is great. These keywords actually make a game easier to design. Once again, huge shout out to the game designers for just designing cards that feel good. They feel Imperial, they feel Rebel, and it's easy to, and like when you have these keywords, it makes card design go smooth. I want a searcher for this archetype. Well, that's easy. Moff Tarkin, and he looks at the top 5 and he gets you 2 Imperials. That's easy to do because you know what Imperials want. You know that character fits the bill for that's what he's going to do. Like, all this kind of stuff. I'd really like to see a searcher like that for heroes.
Yeah, I would really like to see some sort of Rebel
even if it's not exactly a Tarkin, but like a low body that maybe is like attack, top 3 get a rebel. Something like that would be pretty sweet.
Would be pretty crazy.
You might like that's going to be one of those targets you have to get out there because we know that on attack abilities are not so good.
Yeah, and I think just in Star Wars in general, the on attack abilities, because obviously it comes down.
Can't attack
till next turn.
Yeah.
Then ready. Could have the initiative and take a turn before that. And so
those abilities have to be potent.
Yeah.
They've got to be good.
They've really gone ham on those on attack abilities.
And I think that it's great. They've done a really good job. And the good thing is, I like that the game designers give themselves space to do that. They give themselves space to be like, cool, we can make these cards more powerful because we have the fallback of the game mechanics. We can make these cards more powerful because of the keywords we've given them. You know, they can make a super powerful card and they don't have to give it a keyword. They can make a super powerful card and they could give it a keyword and it's something more powerful.
Yeah.
I, for one, am excited for 2 big things I want to see for Rebels and Imperials. I want to see a Luke Skywalker Rebel, and I want to see a Darth Vader Imperial unit. We've seen them both. Luke is notably not. He is a Rebel, isn't he? Or is he? I
believe
he's Rebel Force. He's not Jedi though.
No.
And Darth Vader's Sith Imperial official. We've seen them as leaders. I want them. I want a unit, and I think
we're definitely going to be getting.
We've seen some of my favorite artwork. I'm pretty sure I shout it out in this gameplay. Like some artwork that I've seen that's blown my mind since I've seen it, and like it, I see this artwork and I'm like, I love this art. I say it a lot about this game. It's one of their playmats. I love this artwork. I want to know what this does because it's Darth Vader. He's just gotten through the doors of Hoth. The Millennium Falcon's taken off, and he's flanked by his snow troopers on Hoth. His First Legion Blizzard Force. I want to know what that card does because the imposing force of Vader the Sith Lord, flanked by his like overwhelming number of First Legion faceless soldiers, is so cool to me that I see that and I go, what could it do?
Yeah, it's really exciting to see, and and I think those 2 cards are going to be huge
for sure.
For like
those archetypes, yeah, for sure. I don't know if we're going to see this version of Luke. I think we've seen some artwork. I don't know if it's a card artwork or if it's just like box artwork, but it's Luke Skywalker and he has his blue lightsaber out and he's holding it differently than the leader art. It's definitely not the leader artwork, and it's him kind of standing there in his farm boy uniform. That's cool, but I want to see Return of the Jedi. I want to see green saber, black outfit. I am a Jedi like my father before me.
Yeah, I think that'll be really cool.
All in all, I think Star Wars Unlimited has really done a great job in making a fun game that's mechanically unique, in making a game that we love to talk about, and in making it, because I'm a big synergy person, and most of all, I'm a big person who loves to run things that are the same type. And I love that that's been included in this game, and especially, again, gonna gush about it, especially for Rebels, especially for the Spectres. I love them, and the sheer fact that I can build a whole deck about them with inbuilt synergies, it makes me so happy, and it shows me that the people who make this game care about this game, care about the source material, and care about the people who are going to play it.
Absolutely, and that's always been said, and they just keep following.
They keep showing us.
Keep showing us that no, it is actually what it is. Like, we're not just saying things to say things.
Yeah.
We mean what we say. It's
really great, and the team works hard and everything. So, look, I think that's all the time we have for this episode. Thank you so much, FFG, Fantasy Flight Games. Thank you so much, everyone, for subscribing and watching, and keep sharing us. Keep watching with us. Keep growing with this game, and we promise you we'll make better content. We'll keep using those Lothal Insurgents. And check out this week's gameplay. It's really, really fun. I think both the decks in it are actually a little bit more, like a lot more stronger than we initially thought.
Yeah, very interesting decks that we're playing with. So definitely go check that out. Other than that, thank you guys very much.
Thank you so much.
See you guys next week.
Bye. Oh, that was